Yeah, and I think you have a kind of a name for yourself in that uniqueness with the packaging, with the, obviously creating raw sugar, and now a raw champagne bar that's pink with pink,
Well, what I do,
and all that.
right, and I keep even this with the name Sugar. It's really a brand. Even some of my properties that I have in downtown, one on Palm Avenue, it's called Sugar Palm. That we named it. I have some rental units also in downtown. They're called Sugar Cottages.
Hey, listen, guys, Sarasota SpeaX is excited to announce that we are partnering with the More to Life organization on their charity golf tournament September 30th. We're teeing it up for freedom at Laurel Oak. We're going to drop the link in the description below. You can sign up your foursome to join us at Laurel Oak on September 30th for a charity golf tournament. It's going to be a great time. See you there. All right, episode 63. You know the deal. My name is Brad Hannon.
My name is Trey Martell.
Felipe Colon.
And we're bringing another episode of Sarasota SpeaX with my man, Ronnie Shugar. What's up, Ronnie Shugar?
Nice to see you.
What a name, by the way.
Thanks for coming.
What a name.
Wow. It does. It's a cool name. I get it if I was a porn actor, but I try to deny it.
Well, listen, it's obviously worked well for you in business because you got raw sugar, and now we've got the sugar champagne bar.
That is correct.
So it's tied right into the businesses. Great. But we want to start with raw sugar, man. This is a huge company from what I understand. I recognize the products, seen them on the shelves. How the heck do you get into raw sugar?
Well, I've been. It was an interesting journey. My father was always in the cosmetics business, and I've always grown up in the cosmetics business. And in 2014, my then girlfriend and partner, my co-founder of Raw Sugar, Donna Mullis, we created a line, and it was a really unique perspective of how to bring a brand to market. Target came to me and they asked me to develop something that was unique and special. And I asked, what are you looking for? They said, whatever it is, make sure it's something that you love. And I went back and Donna and I were talking and she goes, well, what do you love? I said, I love my last name. And I said, I want to develop a brand with my last name, Sugar. And she, good for her, she came up with the raw part of it. And that's where Raw Sugar was developed. We came up with 9 items, 9 SKUs, they call that in the retail business, and we had a 100-store test at Target, and they didn't put us in the specialty area. They put raw sugar in the mainstream inline products next to P&G and Colgate and all the rest of the big guys, and we had to see if we could manage sales, and we had something called social media at that time. Which I would say was sort of almost after its infancy, and we were able to geo-target our customer bases around Target stores, and that's all we did. We just spent.
So you helped push it.
So we pushed it. So we were really a partner with Target for around 3 years, and all of our marketing. We never sold anything. We never sold anything online on our website. We didn't sell to Amazon. We didn't sell to Walmart at that time. And we only sold to Target, and we drove all the eyes. Everything was always targeted to Target or Target.com, and it took off. It really took off, and the Target believed in the program. They expanded us from 100 stores to 300, then 900, and then the chain-wide 1,500 stores.
Wow!
And the brand was a significant brand. It was a natural brand. With unique style of packaging. We had our iconic bamboo tops, which is recognized throughout the industry today.
You got a patent on that.
We do.
Nice.
And we have several patents that I was able to design and develop for the brand. And we had retailers from all over. Probably every single retailer contacted us to have that brand in, and we said no. And our second retailer was Walgreens. And what we did was we took the best in class around all categories through mass, through food, through discount, through specialty. And that's what we did. And we didn't sell online. So if you wanted raw sugar, you had to go to our partners. And that's how we created. And we drove the brand through social media. And then COVID happened, and we grew exponentially from there. And then we're in probably every single retailer in America today, including Walmart and Kroger and Costco.
Well, and I wanted to start with the Raw Sugar brand. Of course, it's kind of what you're known for, but I didn't realize that Target targeted you to start that brand. So I feel like we need to back up here a second, because I haven't got a phone call from Target asking to develop any products, and I don't believe either of these other two guys have. So I'm curious, how the hell does Target get a hold of you and say, hey, we want you to create this?
So I was doing other brands, specialty items for TJ Maxx and Marshalls. They have different programs also in their personal care and cosmetic sections if you go to their stores. And through different contacts, they reached out and we had a great conversation, and they said, could you develop something for us? And that's what happened.
So you established a name for yourself kind of in the industry.
Correct, right.
Gotcha. Interesting. So what is, go ahead, Felipe.
No, and you said you'd kind of been in the industry before.
I've been in the industry for
many years.
Yeah, for my entire career.
It wasn't like you just woke up one day and
Right.
Target's.
that's
Target's
Target.
and Target reached out to several other companies at the same time to develop. It was, I don't call it a contest, but they reached out to several other brands to see if they could develop something unique. And Raw Sugar was created. Really, was created out of love. That's, if you take a look at our website and in the back, it was something that Don and I wanted to create together and have. It was a great relationship and how to build something unique. She came from a perspective of sales and marketing, and I came from manufacturing and distribution. And those two things worked really well together. And it was, several years of her and I, really breaking our teeth in this industry and understanding how this industry works. And people looked at us and said, "You're crazy, not selling other retailers." And we were saying, "No, we're going a different route. We're only selling to Target. We're not selling online." And that's how we made the brand really unique, and people really wanted it. So it was something that, I think business schools will take a look at and say, this brand did it really differently. So we're really very proud of that.
Yeah, and I think you have a kind of a name for yourself in that uniqueness with the packaging, with the, obviously creating Raw Sugar, and now a raw champagne bar that's pink with pink,
Right. Well, what I do,
and all that.
Right, and and I keep even this with the name Sugar. It's really a brand. Even some of my properties that I have in downtown, one on Palm Avenue, it's called Sugar Palm. That we renamed it. I have some rental units also in downtown. They're called Sugar Cottages. So everything we're doing is all about branding.
Yeah.
So it's about branding and making really a unique statement that just brings the level of elegance to another standard. And that's what I really am trying to do.
And so where does all this come from? You said you kind of were raised in the cosmetics and all of that. So
I think I was raised in a cosmetics family. I have a brother who's a doctor. I have my younger brother who took over my father's business in manufacturing. I have my sister that lives here, and she's in the clothing business. But again, I think everyone has unique ability, right? And for years, I never know what was my unique ability. I can't play piano, right? Or I can't sing, or I can't. But I have this eye that I envision things before it's created. So even in the house I'm developing now, I envision it. So that's I guess my gift. And I think everyone has a special gift. You just need to find it.
Yeah.
It took me years to understand what it was, but when Raw Sugar started, I was able to really see where the line was going to go, and I'm very proud of what we were able to do with Raw Sugar.
yeah, I mean, it sounds like there was definitely a phase in which it was an idea that you could envision that kind of took off, right? And that's what allowed you to not sell it online. I think I read a headline how the $100 million Raw Sugar brand built itself without an e-commerce business.
Right.
You know, in a time where e-commerce was everything, you were kind of going a different direction. Right. So I think the same would probably hold true with the pink champagne bar called Sugar Champagne Bar, right? So why don't we get into to that and your vision and kind of paint the picture of what that's going to look like?
Sure. It's, again, another great story. And I think, we all live our lives with stories, stories of friendships and stories of family. When I moved downtown Sarasota 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, I'd get up in the morning, this was during COVID, and I'd walk around. I'd go to Starbucks at 6 o'clock in the morning again and walk around and just see how beautiful the city was. And I really never, even though I lived in Longboat Key, I never came downtown. And I used to stop and sit at the park, and I used to see this building across the street. It was juxtaposed against the new Mark building. And it was such a beautiful building. And I said, it looks just like we're in Champs-Élysées, somewhere in Europe. And it's just beautiful. And I was able to acquire the building. And I really wanted to put a real elegant brasserie, something super elegant, European style, and it just developed over time to have a beautiful champagne and caviar bar. The building was in really disrepair. It took quite a bit of structural engineering to get it back up to code. All new plumbing, all new electrical, all new windows and doors, and it's just going to be something remarkable on the interior. And I'm really excited about showcasing it, but we're going to do it a little bit at a time.
Yeah, what's the timeline on it? I think everyone's dying to know.
We're really hoping for the end of November, beginning of December. But the elegance on the interior is going to be exquisite. I look at it as it's going to be something that I leave towards the city, because I think when you have developers or investors like myself putting on our own resources into a city, we have an option to do it or not to do it. And this is what made Miami great, and this is what changed the downtown St. Pete area, is you had investors that believed in it. And I believe in the city, and I think as we upscale everything in downtown, or even within the community around downtown, more people will come. And you're going to have more tourists, and you're going to have more people that want to visit Sarasota from Tampa, or come up from Naples for the weekend, or from Fort Myers. You're just going to have more people wanting to be in this beautiful city that we have so much to offer. And it's one of the few cities in Florida that has a marina downtown. And it's just so beautiful walking the streets. And I think the city has done a wonderful job in really creating an atmosphere of just elegance. And I'm just trying to help elevate that one more level. The level of excellence in terms of services are going to be bar none. So that's what I'm really striving for, is to have that beautiful customer service. And that's where we're striving to really be apart from everyone else.
What's the timeline like as far as start to finish on renovating that property to
I think we started. We had to get the zoning changed. That took almost a year and a half, getting it through the city, and we've been working on it for the last 6 months. So around 9 months to 10 months on getting a renovation. So we're looking forward to it.
I'm pretty familiar with the property you're talking about, because it's right kind of across from that park they redid.
Correct.
Where the Northern Trust building is here, and you got the Mark here.
Right.
And you probably had to have it rezoned, because I know there were some residences up there.
Well, it had to be rezoned because of the church.
The church, okay.
Right. So we had to do, and the church was okay with it. And we're unfortunately there are some residents that they don't want any development, and it had to be classified as a nightclub, and it's.
Oh wow!
And so
that was
So there was a lot of miscommunication and really just misrepresentation from the opposition that they didn't want. They thought it was going to be another Gator Club.
Yeah, I was going to say Gator Club.
Or, something like that. And I said, look, they tried to scare the church into saying that I was a unreputable person. So unfortunately, some slanderous allegations were made towards me, but these were people that don't want to see any progress in downtown Sarasota.
And I think you deal with that in Miami. I think you dealt with that Tampa. I mean, anywhere you go. I mean, as things evolve, there's always people that resist change, and we talk about it on the podcast pretty openly and often.
For the record, we're all pro growth.
Yeah,
Right.
very much.
It's interesting that, and I brought, even at the commission meeting that I had, I brought out the CC&Rs from the Mark, and when any of the residents signed on that dotted line, it showed that there's going to be there'll be restaurants, and there'll be noise nuisance, there'll be a smell, and you can't hold anybody liable. And so these residents that signed this on the dotted line now are saying, "Oh, we don't want it." But when you moved in, the Mark was really marketed as a center of downtown with restaurants and entertainment.
Right, which is you get those things that come along with that, right? There's
Listen, as the city develops, it's a normal evolution to have more entertainment, right? At one time, Sarasota was great. You had a lot of
performing arts.
not only performing arts, but you had galleries, right? A lot of galleries.
Oh, I mean, we still do go down Palm Avenue.
Right. So you have a lot of galleries, but galleries, you know, they're sort of faded, right? And you know, you need, and that even on Palm Avenue, where Sugar Palm is now, which we redeveloped, and I put over $2 million into redeveloping it. I wanted attraction. I wanted foot traffic for Palm Avenue, and that's why I held out. I must have had 50 different galleries coming, wanted to lease it right away, and I said no. I want restaurants only, and we have 3 great restaurants coming in. We have 3 natives coming in. We have Waffle Monkey coming in. They have a location in Bonita Springs.
You know, I just noticed that yesterday when I was going to see my grandmother over in that building.
And we have Fork and Hen coming into taking the 2 middle spots, and Fork and Hen has a great location. 2 great guys up on North Tamiami Trail, great southern food, and I'm really excited to have them in.
But you're right, we've never had anything like that on that street.
Never.
With the exception of, I mean, Caragiulo's has been there for years, but that's another discussion, I feel like, at this point with the redevelopment of that side of the street. But we've never had any restaurants over there on that side of downtown. That's why that side of downtown's always kind of been sleepier.
And I also own where the new flower shop is.
Okay.
So that's my building as well. And I was excited to have the flower shop and they're doing wonderful, and they're great people. I'm very excited for them to have such a wonderful business now.
Yeah, so I've been told that you've invested about $15 million roughly into downtown Sarasota. You know, as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, you know, and part of the philanthropic stuff you do as well, right? You do that. We know about the soaps. You've donated, I think, 10 million bars of soap to families in need through the Raw Sugar, initiative, right? However, as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, you're not investing $15 million into downtown Sarasota because you love the community and and you just want to see it thrive, right? There's also an obvious gain there, right? And that's okay. That's why we play the game. What is it that drove you to land here 4.5 years ago? Why Sarasota, and why the investment?
I originally bought a place on Longbow Key 10 years ago with my former girlfriend partner of Raw Sugar. She vacationed here as a child with her family, and she didn't have any children, neither did I. And so when we traveled around the country, instead of going back to Los Angeles, we would stop in Sarasota. But we only went to Longbow Key for a couple of days, and we would fly back. And in 2019, I really enjoyed being here. I enjoyed fishing. I love fishing. I loved being out in the water. I had a boat, and we decided to move here full time in 2019, and which we did, and we loved it. Unfortunately, shortly thereafter, we split, and I moved downtown. And I just fell in love with downtown. I fell in love with Harbor Acres. A property came for sale. I was able to purchase it, and we're building a beautiful contemporary home there. It's probably be one of the most beautiful homes in Sarasota once we're done with it.
Did you say Harbor Acres? I thought you said Cherokee Park earlier. Harbor Acres?
Cool. It was Harbor Acres.
Yeah. So we're right across the street I'm right across the way from Catherine Harris's house. Mm-hmm. And it's beautiful. It has a beautiful view of downtown and a beautiful view of the bridge and Bird Key. And I fell in love with it. I just fell in love with everything. It was to me, it was so peaceful. I keep saying to my friends back home, Sarasota is the East Coast Palm Springs. It's just a cool vibe.
Yeah. And
people are really cool here, down to earth. It's a smaller community. It's safe. You feel great here. And it's just something that I didn't want to leave. You know, I had the option to go anywhere in the country I wanted to go to, or go to Miami, but I really enjoy the lifestyle here, and I think you have got a great. I met a great friend group, and I'm great being here.
Yeah, well said too, because we were talking about on the last episode about kind of the intangibles that Sarasota brings and why we love it like we love it, and sometimes you kind of can't put your finger on it, but I think you did a great job of that with the community we have and the vibe, but also the pace of the lifestyle here, right? Because we do have so many great people doing huge things, but it's not the Miami fast-paced lifestyle for families and younger families.
I love the Miami analogy because I think it's becoming more obvious. We have a group of friends who moved to Miami, and now from what we hear, they're moving back. I think safety is one of the big reasons. I mean,
Listen.
Sarasota is very safe. I think we need to blow the horn on that one more. I mean, this is a safe community.
When you mentioned it, I thought about how it's overlooked every day because it's taken for granted.
Correct.
Yeah.
Just being able to, like you said, being able to walk around town early in the morning, even maybe before the sun even comes up, and not worry about things. You can't do that in most cities.
No, you can't. I enjoy the tightness of it, right?
Yeah.
And it's not so spread out. You go to Tampa, it's spread out. St. Pete's spread out. Everything's sort of. This is, even though you have Lakewood Ranch, but that's great. You could drive over to Lakewood Ranch, but I'm 2 minutes south of downtown. I'm able to walk wherever I want to go to, and that's it.
Right.
I'm downtown, so technically I'm not downtown. I'm just south of downtown, but I still am able to walk, and it's just.
But you're right. A neighborhood like Harbor Acres, that equivalent neighborhood in Tampa, you'd have to pass how many roads that are functioning highways to get downtown?
Right.
Tons. It just kills the vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, like you said, jog to the farmer's market on a Saturday, take a bike, or take your car, whatever.
Yeah. And then listen, let me just do a little plug here, by the way. So for the Sugar Champagne Bar, because on Saturdays when we're gonna have bottomless mimosas, 10 to 2 o'clock at the Sugar Champagne Bar.
That'll be a hit for sure.
So
That's exactly what the people in the Mark who don't want the noise and the rowdiness don't want to hear, right?
Yeah, right.
Listen,
half of them will be over
listen,
there.
if they don't like it, there's always Parish, right?
Yeah, that'll be quiet for them. Well, so we kind of skipped right over the story before Raw Sugar, but Raw Sugar, it sounds like from the outside looking in, that was kind of your home run play. One of those ideas that really just hit. You don't know when they're going to land, but that one landed. But you had some major success before that. With with Disney, NASCAR, Warner Brothers. What was life like before Raw Sugar?
So I had an interesting life prior to Raw Sugar. So I was always in the cosmetics business, but I've always ventured and had that open mind to reach out to other ventures. Unfortunately, on my part, and people always ask, what's some of the things that you've learned? If you're not willing to fail, you shouldn't be in business. And I was willing to risk everything, and I risked it 3 different times. As an adult, I failed, meaning I had nothing. And it was very difficult. Emotionally, it was very difficult. Psychologically, it's very difficult. You have to get up in the morning every day and say, well, what did I lose? I mean, I had this and this, and I don't have it. And I had to wake up every day and say, Ronnie, get up, move forward. Move forward every day, move forward. And as an adult, you're used to having certain things or having certain luxuries, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't drive the same car that I used to drive. I couldn't go to the same bar that I used to go to. I just couldn't do those things. I was so embarrassed because I didn't have it. I didn't have the resources any longer. And it just made me work harder. It was more determined. And I think that's sort of a life lesson. And people will ask, what can you suggest to people who are looking for, advice? And sometimes I say, that's a great question, but I can't answer that because all I know is what I did. What I did was I just got up in the morning and I was driven.
Yeah.
And if you don't have drive, and I wasn't scared of failure. And I faced failure in its face, and I still got up and I persevered. And perseverance, and you just have to be determined because that's what separates everyone else.
We're having a blast here getting to know Ronnie Shugar from Sugar Champagne Bar. If you want to get to know him a little bit further, stay tuned for rapid fire questions fueled by food and beer.
Hi, I'm Ronnie Shugar, proprietor of Sugar Champagne Bar, opening up downtown Sarasota at the end of November. And this is Rapid Fire.
10 random questions. 10 specific answers. Nothing off limits. This is Rapid Fire, fueled by food and beer. What's your pet peeve?
Terrible food service.
Have you ever heard the expression, the customer is always right?
That's not our policy.
Everybody's got a nickname. What's yours?
Shuggy.
The name is Sugar Bear.
What's your favorite place to visit?
Sarasota.
What food did you hate as a kid, but you love now?
Brussels sprouts.
Besides base jumping without a parachute, what's on your bucket list?
Visit Africa.
Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. One of them's got to go. Which one is it?
TikTok.
Pick your poison. Skydive or swim with the sharks?
I dove with sharks before, so I will take skydiving.
I also like to live dangerously.
Would you rather speak all languages fluently or play every musical instrument?
Piano, hands down.
If there's a Mount Rushmore of actors, who's on it?
Humphrey Bogart, James Cagney, Denzel Washington. Denzel's great. Nicolas Cage.
If you're stranded on a deserted island, would you rather be with your worst enemy or just be by yourself?
My own worst enemy. At least have someone to talk to or yell to.
Wilson! I'm sorry! I'm sorry, Wilson!
All right, so my notes tell me here that you're the vice chair of the Downtown Improvement District Board. You want to explain to the viewers what that is and what it means?
Yeah, so the DID is a subgroup for the city commission. And it's allocated a dollar amount to help improve the downtown district for commercial retailers, and it's a great program. You see a lot of the flowers around the city, the flower baskets. It also promotes Fresh Fridays, which is a great program, and it really draws a lot of people to the city itself. And it's something just it gives a voice for the common person to talk and to see what's available for improvement of downtown.
So the Fresh Fridays thing is something they came up with, I guess, a couple years ago, because I know when I had my office over on State, they would close the street down and have like a band and drinks, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it draws I think around 10,000 people every month. It's first Friday of every month. They have it on State Street. Sometimes they'll have it on North Palm, and then they'll do it by five points. But they have got a great program, a great following, and they've done a lot for the city.
Where does the money come from? You said it's from the city commission. Is it appropriated or is it
it is a small tax on all business owners within a 5-block radius of downtown, and that goes into the coffers of the DID.
Very cool. How do you end up on that? Right, you've been here for 4.5, 5 years now, or whatnot. So
I was asked to be on a Dr. Kaufman who resigned off the board, and there was a position available. I applied for it. You need to be a city resident and also an owner of property.
Business. I gotcha. And so, what are some of the things that we can expect from that board? Like as somebody that holds a seat, what are we working on currently?
Well, we're working on right now for Main Street, to redevelopment of Main Street, of the streetscape, of city cameras, making the city safer. We also have cleaning services for back alleys and also for sidewalks. So we're trying just to improve the look and vitality and keep and maintain downtown.
Well, I love that. We need to talk more about that on Sarasota SpeaX podcast, because that's kind of all of our goal as well without being on the board, right? We have this podcast to shed a light on Sarasota and the vibrance of it, and kind of shaking the narrative of it being an old sleepy town or retirement town, if you will. Because I think it's anything but, right? We've talked about that quite a bit.
Well, and which is true. And you have a couple people downtown that are making a difference. And I'll give you two examples. One is Mark Levy, who owns Kojo's, and he owns.
We had Natalia on the podcast.
Yeah, we had Natalia,
one of our early guests.
Yeah, and wonderful. He really
dynamic people.
And he really invested into the city. He built something dynamic with his wife, something really beautiful, and I think a statement to what people could do downtown. Also the Vokers, Chris and Kirk Voker, who own Bezo and State Street Grill. They've also done a wonderful job of hosting and doing wonderful things downtown. And you've got a lot of builders downtown or investors that are remodeling their storefronts, and you have great restaurants coming in and bars coming in, which are that are respectful to downtown.
Right.
So I think as long as you are able to build on that, you're going to have a great city. And we've got, I believe we've got a great commission, and we've got a great city council that really want to see the growth and perseverance of a beautiful downtown.
I think it's happening right before our very eyes, right? I mean, you see everything going on. It's definitely growing up here, right? Changed a whole lot. And one of the reasons why we do this podcast is because there are so many that have grown up here that don't love the change, right? We talked about it a little bit earlier, but I think change is obviously necessary, and it's a great thing for the community. So we are all for change here. We appreciate the change, and we're just trying to change the narrative on what this change can do for the community, right? So. Love that you're able to shed a light
I just
on
worry, Brad, that the terms get co-opted, right? When you start saying pro-change and pro-growth, people don't hear that anymore. They hear you're for this other thing over here.
Right.
So we need to be specific about what we're trying to do and all come to some consensus, right? I mean, I think we can all agree that if you live downtown, you want a vibrant downtown. Right?
Of course you do.
Right. And that's you've been working on your projects to kind of, like you said, you're branding all your projects so that they're not just another building downtown. They're special. They've got your special sauce on it,
Correct.
your stamp on it, and now you're investing more in this restaurant that is going to be a concept that elevates kind of what are some of the offerings are downtown, and others have done similar things, like you mentioned Beso. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would argue that that's a different concept that has kind of changed the landscape a little bit downtown. So I'd love to hear more of your thoughts about, what you see out there in terms of that conversation.
Well, you have a few thousand condos being built, between the Quay and the surrounding areas, and things that are on the table right now or in front of the commission right now. And you've got $1 million condos that people are buying, right?
Yeah.
So there's a desire, there's a need. And when you have this influx of dollars and people with money coming into the city, they need an infrastructure, right? They need an infrastructure to shop and to go out, and these are people that are spending money. It's not the retirees that are really spending the money.
Right.
Again, you need to be conscious of how growth is handled, and I totally agree with that. And also, where do people want to work and live, right? You're going to need employees who are downtown, and now with the building of additional housing for employees, it's great. They don't have to be in downtown. Downtown is like in any city. It's an expensive part to be in, right? You have the suburbs, which are open, and I think that as long as we're able to build more housing for individuals and families to come out and work that we're going to need, I think it's a great thing for the city, and I think how we manage it is really important, right? And the idea of managing, right? So you have people on the left to understand what management, and people on the right, what is management, right? But again, we see there's a younger demographic happening in Sarasota. It's not a geriatric demographic any longer. Unfortunately, we have some people that are left over in that mindset that downtown should be a quiet place, and it's not any longer.
Well, in any city, downtown is not the quiet place. So.
Well, yeah, that's like somebody going on a safari to see lions and tigers and then complaining about the mosquitoes. All right, if you want to see the animals in the wild, you're going to have mosquitoes too. I mean, that's just the reality.
Wonderful analogy.
Just saying.
Right. You grew up here, right?
Yeah,
and you imagine downtown in the 80s and 90s. What was it in the 80s and 90s? There was nothing even to walk around downtown.
We've heard some stories, for sure.
Yeah, there were 3 different gangs on Main Street were running out there, right?
The pineapple drop, remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
That was early 2000s.
Whatever.
So you mentioned that one of your hobbies is fishing. What kind of boat do you have?
I used to have a Sea Ray, but I don't own a boat any longer. I belong to a boating club now, which is great.
If it floats, it's cheaper to rent.
Well, that's what they say. But before I started building the house on Harbor Acres, I lived in, it was an older home, and I fished right off the dock, which I love because my brothers would come out, my friends would all visit, and we would just do fishing all day. So I love it. There's great fishing out there, and one of the things I really love about Sarasota is it's so beautiful. You have downtown, you have the bridge, you have the lights, you have the different, between the moon and the stars and the different inflow, outflow of water. There's movement. There's something going on all the time, and it's just an exciting part to be in.
Well, you talked about infrastructure a little bit, right, and handling the growth. And Sarasota's doing some unique things. I guess not so unique. It's happening all over the place, but there's some new roundabouts here. So Trey's got a question for you.
Sure.
From our friends at Tom and Law, we want to know your thoughts on roundabouts. Do you love them or do you hate them?
I think I'm impartial because there's nothing that we can do. It wasn't a city issue. It was the Department of Transportation issue. So it was a federal issue, and we really couldn't do anything about it. So do I love it? It's regardless if I love it or not, that's what we have, and how do we work around it?
In a circle.
Yes, that's how we're doing it, right? And actually, by the bridge where that big circle is there, off Mound,
Right over there.
right? It's not that bad.
No, not
I
at all.
thought it'd be worse, but it's not that bad.
The
Have you
construction was
have
a
you ever
bitch.
seen Jesse's camera? The
No.
footage from Jesse's camera. So I think it's SRQ Circles. He's got a camera right
he's
up
got an
there on the
Instagram
balcony
page.
overlooking it. So SRQ Circles on Instagram. Every 2-3 days there's an accident, or the other day there was someone going backwards on the roundabout, going the wrong way. That got pulled over, a couple minutes later. But yeah, it's just a fun question, and it really is based around the growth of our community. And
From this question, we've kind of developed a goal. And an important man like you, I don't want you to steal this idea either. How do we get a circle named after Sarasota SpeaX?
the Sarasota SpeaX.
And I don't want to hear about it being the sugar circle.
Sugar circle.
Yeah, I knew that's exactly where you're going to go.
You know he loves the last name too much.
He owns a little bit more property in town than us, so I mean, maybe he has a.
Yeah.
That's why I said it on tape.
But I love that you brought in the federal aspect, because that was what the impression I was under. I mean, those were federal dollars that we got, and it was either spend it or don't. Right. So those are construction jobs. Every time we build one of those things, people are working.
I'll tell you what, people complain about how long it takes to do a roof sometimes. We're not a bigger project. They're doing a roundabout in front of our home, and it's taken, what, babe?
Oh, the one by the post office.
4 months, and
Yeah.
there's never anyone working. It's
I'm sure
definitely a
someone's,
government project.
I'm sure someone's billing, though.
Yes.
Don't worry, someone's billing. We're paying for it. All right.
Well, you
man.
talked a little bit about the friend circle you developed here, and how that's kind of made this home or whatnot. So I'm going to pass it to Felipe for the closing question.
Well, one of the last questions we always ask our guests is, you've been on the podcast, you see what we do here. We want to tell stories of people who are here that have great stories that others might not know, or might not know unless they know them, right? You know some pretty interesting people as well who Sarasota would want to know and want to hear from. Can you recommend any of these folks to be on our podcast?
Well, I think it'd be great if you had some of the big home builders. I think either Trinity from Trinity Home, or some of the big home developers, because they're the ones really on the forefront, building $20 million homes, right? And these are people, and they're busy, right? So who are these people that are coming in here, right? What kind of people are coming here? And I think you're going to see, I believe that you're going to see the values of properties. Let's go where Naples is. In Naples, you can't even get a home on the water less than $40 million.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see some really interesting things. How that comes about. I think developers would be a great way to go. Again, you have some other interesting entrepreneurs, restaurant guys that are coming in, or
Absolutely.
I think you have the Warren coming in, which is a steakhouse out of. They have that one in Naples. They're going to be where Fit to Run's going to be. So you have some really interesting players here that are coming to Sarasota that believe in it.
I love it.
Well, usually when we talk developers, we're talking the home builders who build large amounts of homes, not so much the people
Custom.
who build the big custom homes.
Yeah.
So if you have a line on any specific custom home builders like that, we would be
Yeah.
interested in
Trinity
that as
sounds
well.
like someone we definitely got to get on. So,
But yeah, usually we try to press everybody for a specific name or two.
Yeah, and again, I think you also within the arts, you have a lot of things happening within the arts, and you got some great things going on downtown. And the Oslo Theater is great; they're doing a beautiful job there. And I think these are some people that, even some of the dance companies. I did the Sarasota. Dancing with the Stars. It was I think last March. Actually, I did win it that one.
no way.
Yeah,
Won
so it was.
Look at that.
It was with the
Pull up the
Sarasota
tape.
Contemporary Dance. It was a fundraiser, and you had to not only dance. Eric Arroyo and Bakal Bati were in it last year.
Yep.
And
So is that who collared you into doing it?
Kyle actually
Yeah.
called me to doing it.
We've had both on the podcast.
Yeah.
Actually, Eric was their first ever guest. So,
You're a great guy.
Remember that, Felipe?
well, listen, thank you so much for coming on. I know you're a busy man. We're excited for the Sugar Champagne Bar. Can't wait. I know my wife will be there for the bottomless
you'll be there as
mimosas
well.
for sure. I
Anything,
will be
anything
there
else
for
you want to
sure.
add about that place to plug real quick before we leave, just so people know what to expect?
We have it's sugarbrsrq.com. We're also on same thing on Facebook and as well as on Instagram. We're just slowly just dripping out what's going on. We do have an email list if people want to get onto the opening night. We're probably going to do a 3-day event.
Perfect.
For opening, because it's not a large space, so we're probably going to have a 3-day opening. But call or email us, and we'll get you onto the guest list.
And obviously,
Done.
the Sarasota SpeaX crew is that
Absolutely, we have
first
a table
night,
for
right?
you.
All right.
Sounds good.
We'll hit the minimum. Don't worry. strong roofing's got us. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on.
Awesome, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again, man.
Thanks.
That's great.